My name's Neil Basu. I was a 30-year serving Metropolitan Police Officer, retired in 2022. And when I retired, I was AFSA, the Assistant Commissioner of Specialist Operations and the National Head of Counter-Terrorism. So I was one of 4 people of colour to reach my rank since 1829. And so I'm here for a very specific reason. AFSA, it's the second time they've invited me back. And I loved the title of today's conference, which is Inclusive by Design. Now, I happen to think I'm inclusive by design, and I'm going to speak a little bit about that today at the conference. And the main reason for that is I'm the product of a 1961 mixed race relationship. My dad was a Bengali Hindu from Calcutta. My mum was a doctor. My mum was a white Welsh nurse from a tiny, tiny village in Snowdonia in North Wales, where they had never seen a man of colour when she brought my father home. And they agonized about having children. In the end, they had 3 children. They were worried how mixed race children would be seen in this country. And our upbringing, which we kept from our parents, was pretty tough. We grew up in all white towns. We went to all white schools. And the thing about being mixed race, and you never hear people talk about mixed race, but the thing about mixed race is you feel dislocated everywhere. You know, it was as hard for me to be in a room of my Indian relatives as it was to be in the rooms I'd experienced for the rest of my next 57 years, which were mostly white male rooms. And it was just as hard to be in either room. And if you have to see it to be it, what's interesting is I never saw anyone that I could aspire to be apart from my father, who was a brilliant role model. But you are looking for other people, and I was never going to be a doctor. I'm not good at science. So what I talk about is how to survive that. And I wrote a book called Turmoil, 30 Years of Policing, Politics and Prejudice, talking about my career. But it also talks about what being a man in their 50s who's mixed race has experienced over decades of racism, institutional racism in particular professions, and what that does to you, mentally and physically. Now, I always thought, I'm an optimist. It's getting better. But it only gets better when leaders make it so. So if you want to be inclusive by design, you need to change your culture. You need to appreciate where you're coming from. And that means leaders have to appreciate what being inclusive by design means. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about how leaders can influence culture and how important it is. And I do it from the lens of policing, because policing, like all public services, police officers have to provide that service for everybody, not just the people they like. And how much more effective would they be if they had the trust and confidence of every part of every community? Now, they just simply don't have that. Black and Asian community have felt over-policed and underprotected for years. I would argue so have the LGBTQ plus community. Violence against women and girls has been a significant issue post Wayne Couzens in the Met and David Carrick, and women and girls no longer feel safe around policing. If you add up all of those protected characteristics, it's the majority of the public. And if policing don't get the trust and confidence of the majority of the public, they'll never be able to do their job. We police by consent in this country. We don't police by force. And the most important thing is winning that consent means having an organization and an attitude which is inclusive by design. So well done, AFSA. I've stolen your strapline. I think staff associations like AFSA are incredibly important. I was slightly dismissive. When I joined policing, I was nearly 25. I'd come from 2 different professions. I'd grown up in all white environments, and I did not want to stand out. I didn't want to be an activist. I didn't want to be militant. I'd experienced my fair share of racism, but I had learned to what I call fit in or F off. FIFO is the acronym. Largely because I just wanted people to see that I was good at my job. I wasn't interested in anything other than my merit. Basically, the quality of my work and my character is the only thing I was interested in. The difficulty is not everyone judges you like that. Lots of people judge you by appearance. And unless you reach out and you find friendships and allies of people who feel the same way in exactly the same way AFSA feels about diversity, equality of opportunity and inclusion, there are plenty of allies out there who feel that way. I just never reached out and asked for help. Now, the place you're going to find that help is normally amongst people who are experiencing the same things as you. The most important thing for staff associations is not to close themselves off to other views. And what I have found rather unique about AFSA is you are inclusive by design. I mean, last night's dinner following the first day of your conference, I have seldom been in a room for a staff association in my profession that contains so many men, women, black, Asian, white, senior, young, I mean, it was an incredibly diverse room. You don't normally see that because staff associations often become clubs that start to become inward looking and start to become rather victim based. And that's a mistake. You've got to reach out and you've got to speak to people. And that's what AFSA appears to me to do brilliantly.